So basically, this is kind of, I think, the second time, or probably the third, I don't know. But this is probably the second time I ever reviewed a DLC expansion towards a video game. More specifically to Pokemon as well, since last year, well, a couple years ago, I did a review of the DLC expansion for Scarlet and Violet, and I even rewatched my video to see what score I give that. It was a pretty high score, being A plus, including even with Indigo gifts. It was kind of funny because um, admittedly, I didn't watch too much of that video because honestly, as I expected, it was basically, like I said, it was mostly me focusing on the story of Indigo Disc and Teal Mask, and most of the gameplay was just same, albeit with improvements to the battle system. So, all in all, pretty good DLC. You know where I'm going with this. And trust me, when I said beforehand when I needed a entire fucking week to process things, I wasn't actually joking. Because honestly, there was only at least one thing, one particular thing that many of you already know that I was so excitedly happy that happened. But it was the only thing that kept me going with the DLC. That is, we finally got Mega Meowstic, which we all know by now. It's one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, alongside Chandelura and, of course, Zora and Zoroark. Pretty much all that, to say the least. I think it might be, by now, it's in a tie with Chandelure, but that's a story for another day for sure. However, that was kind of the only thing. So the rest going into it, I really wanted to see how good Mega Dimensions was. And to be fair, unlike most other people who I have seen online for the most part when it comes to reviewing Mega Dimensions, I'm not going to literally fire all nuclear warheads or scream my head off or whatever, because honestly, there are some actual positives with Mega Dimensions. It's just that most of it is kind of negative to the point where it's kind of shocking. Because even beforehand, as already stated before, and just to repeat as usual, this was a very controversial DLC in any video game because it kind of released alongside the original game. For clarification, the pricing, making it making Pokemon ZA $100 to buy if you're going to pre-order it with the Switch 2 edition and Now I paid $90 because I'm not going to get the Switch 2 edition for Pokemon ZA because I already got it for Switch 1 and I'd rather keep it that way. But I will say it runs smoothly in Switch 1, so already we're positive. But you get my drift, and this was already a big, huge negative already. So many people, including myself, which I will be super duper honest, was begging Nintendo to make sure they don't fuck up this Mega Dimensions. And unfortunately, although not as bad, to say the least, I do need to clarify, they did kind of fuck up the DLC due to one major thing. But beforehand, let's kind of talk about what Mega Dimensions is about. Story-wise, it's pretty actually way more straightforward than I thought it would be, which leads to a kind of first issue. That is, I don't know what, but it's on the same level as the main story where you think something's going to happen and then there's a very bad whiplash that is really, really bad. Now, to be fair, the story is still good. Actually, there's some pretty solid moments. There's even a very good moment near towards the end that is super beautiful, and it's kind of like one of my favorite parts of the DLC. It's really good. I won't spoil it. But let's be real here, the story is kind of the usual bland. Like, it's great that we see more interactions to the characters and get more of the funniness of all of these characters because, again, the characters of ZA is perfection. They're actually pretty good and solid characters, and there's a lot going on, to say the least. But to be honest, most people by now, as you may have already guessed, aren't very fond with these characters. Some might, but most aren't. And even then, like I said, that whiplash in the story is very problematic because there honestly I was expecting this story to get a whole lot darker, to be perfectly honest. But it never did, and that's so concerning to say the least. And then of course there was the new characters. It's great that we see the. I do like the new character evolving with the donuts. She's pretty sweet and nice and all that, but there's nothing they really do with her other than she justify. Well, she does have a good story arc. That's not a problem. In fact, it's fine. It's just it's not fine enough for a normal person who would literally want to play the DLC because all it is like she wants to prove something to her mother, and that's all fine. Like there's nothing wrong with the story, to say the least. But it's like really who gives a damn, honestly, to say the least. And I do like the new hints of it because it also, I won't spoil who her mother is, but it's pretty clear that they're trying to add more lore to said mother because she appeared before. And as for the returning character, the fighting gym leader, honestly, she's fine too, but it's just what you expect, to say the least. But she does have a way more better presence than she did in XY, believe it or not. So that's really cool. But even then, it's just like, again, I cannot really describe the story because on one hand, there's nothing wrong with the story. I think there's some great moments and we get to learn a little bit more about these characters. The issue is, if you're a video gamer like me, a video gamer, you will not care about this story at all because it's admittedly bland, except for some of the dangers. And to be fair, to give credit, this one's much more better on showcasing the danger of the new dimensions. I think it's known as just the mega dimension. And I do like its hidden lore and details of it, but it's like, it's not really, it's on the same level as the previous danger beforehand. It's just much, it's a little bit higher, but it's like ancient's higher, if you know what I mean. It's kind of either samey or not, but a little bit higher than the regular danger we had in the original, in the first version of the game. Um, and that, speaking of which, leads into why I'm super mixed with the entire gameplay. Now, obviously, I already talked about this beforehand, and a lot of people already discussed this beforehand if you see other review videos. But you recall correctly that one of the major gripes in ZA was the calendar tickets, which I don't remember what I said exactly, but honestly, I really don't mind them, although it is like very slow, to be perfectly honest, to say the least, on how to get them. But they're fine. It's a challenge and all that. And I'm now willing to say that on record clearly because if you thought the Challenger tickets were bad, holy fuck, the Mega Dimension research is fucking awful. And that's a very bad thing. Now, to clarify, it is manageable if you're willing to literally bash your head against the wall or take it your time with it. But holy crap. Now, for context, this is basically them trying to bring back Legends Arceus with this mechanic. Basically, you're supposed to do random tasks such as literally grab multiple Pokemon, break multiple balls, no joke, break other stuff that isn't balls. Again, I'm not joking. That's literally it. And I even seen further because I haven't really tried to dumpster dive into this. There's even the moments where they even officially confirmed Shiny in a video game. I think, I don't know. I know they have been before accepted the term of shiny, but I never expected it to be in a video game. But yes, you also one of the tasks is you have to catch a shiny Pokemon, which is kind of dumb when you think about it, because shiny Pokemon are fucking rare, even if you do get the shiny charm. Although I will admit, throughout my playthrough, I ironically did get some like 3 shinies for sure. I got, which is kind of funny. But still, it's super backwards and weird because the issue isn't just because these tasks are a bit tricky. Like, for example, you need to catch this Pokemon without being spotted. That's like the stupidest idea ever. Why can't I just catch the Pokemon and deal with it? I'm more okay with the window catching, but even then, it's like, oh my gosh. But the major issue I have is not only the point system, which makes it slower, but the fact is the entirety thing is a slog. You need to build donuts, and how you build these donuts is you need to get the berries. However, the only way you get these berries, including the new hyperspace one, is you gotta complete the task and open that golden Pokeball. Yes, you are able to still get the berries through normal means as well through this dimension, but mostly if you want to get the best ones, you need to get the golden Pokeball, and you gotta break it. And the way to do that is blah blah blah. And long story short, because I'm probably not the best to explain this, but the problem is it grinds the gameplay to a fucking halt and is super slow. Like, to give you an idea, my roommate jokingly says that, hey, doesn't mean you get your more time. First of all, he doesn't play Pokemon, obviously, so he doesn't understand this issue here. And second of all, well, yes, it might give your time's worth of the DLC. No, it actually truly doesn't, because it's super slow as fuck. People don't want a super slog of this game. The Pokemon franchise, I know it's a RPG. Like, Pokemon is a RPG first and foremost, but it's never been a super slow RPG game before. It never is. It's not like Persona or like Shin Megami Tensei here at all. It's supposed to be mostly smooth, mostly just either quick and da da da. This is grinding to a hole. And I get they're trying to do it because they're trying to put content in here, because most people nowadays, one of the number one complaints of all Pokemon is they do not have any content. But if this is the case of them tackling, this is a very bad way to do it, because A, you're just cramming bullshit in there, because really it is bullshit. And B, if you're going to at least do that, at least make it easy. Like the Challenger tickets, the reason why I don't have an issue, even though I understand the mixed reception of that, is that's fucking manageable. And don't get it twisted. The research is manageable, but holy fuck, it doesn't feel like it. That's how bad it is. And there are some good moments in there too, like the new Mega Evolutions and that, which even then, they're just the same, just though you have a time limit, which makes sense. But what the hell? Like, literally, what the fuck? And trust me, like I said, I'm not trying to, again, rant a storm or cause nuclear explosion. And I'm sorry if it looks like I'm being hypocritical about it. But it really is that frustrating. That's actually why I took a week to relax myself. Heck, to make something super clear, as you can guess, I did complete the main game, but there's post game within the post game, which is weird. I mean, I get it because we gotta catch something else and da da da, but still, it's like once that ending was done and I defeated the final Pokemon boss, post boss or whatever, I was like, okay, that's it. I'm reviewing this weekend, but also I am done. Like, I actually have not touched the other parts of the post game at all. I will do in the future because I do want to complete it and I do want to get the other stuff, but it's like, yeah, to say the least. But like I said, the other issue with it is there actually is some good stuff about it. For starters, like I said, even though the story is a little bit there are some fun moments and clever ideas. In fact, unlike most people, I don't mind the hyperspace. Like, yes, I know there is the joke of it looks like chalk, and stuff, and it looked like crap. But on the flip side, at least they do try to make sense on why it looks like that, having a reference to liminal space and dreams. And I won't go into spoilers on why that, and you just have to play the game. Even though, yes, I do feel like they should have done more with it. Like, there's a moment in the game where they changed the stadium for one of the mega evolutions, which also is kind of funny and clever because they know what they were doing. But it's super weird because it felt like after seeing that and looking back at all the other evolutions, you would kind of jokingly think they would have done the same with of the other stuff. Granted, the battle arenas are fine, but you would think that every battle arena would be something different. Granted, despite that, that's just the whiplash of all this game again. But on the flip side, at least they still, despite having some hiccups, they do in fact tackle these and give out the space and give out lore as best they can. And again, also the Mega Evolutions, there are improvement from the previous. I'm not gonna lie, Mega Mouse Stick isn't the only one that's super cool. Like Gold Cork is pretty awesome. Believe it or not, the final boss Mega Evolution is pretty dope. I know people are yikesy about it, but it makes sense for that Pokemon, which understandable. But shockingly, yeah, a lot of the new evolutions are pretty alright. Yes, I noticed the mix, but for the most part, they are pretty alright for what they were trying to do with them. And much more improvement than Staryu looking like, or I meant Starmie looking like freaking trying to be like the Starman from Earthbound, only to look like shit. That's literally it. Although to be fair, you can still have some gripes with the newer evolutions. I don't know. I think they're all right. Most of them. I think they're clever and funny. And all in all, I'm just glad we got Mega Meowstic and it didn't fuck it up like they did with Prior. Um, and honestly, there are still some great moments in there. The donut making is also kind of okay. I mean, yes, there are some tacky ones, but hey, at least there is fun to make these things. I do like some of the animations they did for the cutscenes. Um, all around, despite me liking it, it's gonna be like a C. Is a C plus, honestly. This is not terrible, but really is unfortunate. And yes, I am being more merciful because A, I'm a Pokemon fan, and I'm not gonna lie about that. But also, honestly, even without that, I do believe this DLC was trying to do something. However, despite me being a Pokemon fan, and despite people want to murder me in my sleep, the truth is I can see why this Mega Evolution DLC sucked balls. And that's really unfortunate. Hopefully, in the future, Generation 10, which many people keep talking about leaks and all that gobbledygook, don't fuck this up. I think this is a very huge lesson for Nintendo, hopefully, though I highly doubt they'll learn it. I'm very hopeful. Like I said in the previous video when talking about them, I don't think this year is bad for them, but still at the same time, it's like, are you kidding me? I do hope they do come out and realize how bad this is and sort of fix it. It's kind of a usual thing. I'm just hoping Generation 10 will be something similar to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but who knows? And but all in all, it's a very tricky thing. I I think this DLC is worth picking up in some ways, but if you don't want to, that's actually super fine because again, it depends on if you really want it or not. Personally, I mix on it, so I can't really say, but I think if you do want to, you go on ahead. There is still some extra content. If you don't try to bother. But either way, I'm just hoping next game ain't bad. But anyways, this has been Floxcat snapping out. Bye.